Hi everyone, my name is Dave Anderson and I'm a brand and digital evangelist at Dynatrace, who is a great partner of AWS. And I'm super excited to be here. Well, I'm not really here, am I? I'm at home like all of you. What a sad reality. AWS reInvent is one of my favorite events of the year. How unfortunate we all can't be stuck in Starbucks lines, clamoring to get our hoodies and just taking in all the great content that is part of the event, and it's a shame to not have the buzz, but hopefully digitally we can make this happen. What I wanted to share with you all today is just a little bit about Dynatrace, but it's by no means a product pitch. I get very excited about talking about the advent of AI and automation and what that means for us and what it means personally. It means doing better work, more valuable work, letting the machines go to work and do the things that we used to do manually. That took a long amount of time. And what I want to do as part of this is just share a little bit of background to that, as well as share some great customer stories that talk about what they've been able to do, not just pre-pandemic, also during pandemic and a little bit post-pandemic. And you can tell by my title, Cloud Observability is a career and potentially life-changing. I actually think it is. So, purchasing a product like Dynatrace can mean more than just the platform itself. So here goes. Now, if you are watching this on demand, I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to take up the whole half an hour. I don't think anyone has an attention span to last half an hour. So I'm going to do my best to keep you as entertained as possible. There's going to be some anecdotes. You can tell by my accent I'm Australian, so hopefully you're just enjoying the fact that someone from down under is doing a presentation and you're trying to mimic my accent. That'd be fun. If you're doing this live, there will be a session that we get to do like this semi-live thing. I'm going to jump on the chat and probably mimic myself during that session, so you can enjoy and ask questions as part of that. But at our event in January last year, I started with this slide. I was like, can you believe it? 2020, what a remarkable achievement for all us humans to have made it. What a disappointment it was when we got there. No one sort of predicted that this was going to happen. And I think at our Dynatrace event in January, I said, you think the last 10 years it was amazing. Wait till you see what happens in the next 10 years. I didn't know it was going to be the next 10 days that was going to be the most remarkable kind of human story of all time. And we've all had to transform, personally more than anything, but also kind of through our work and everything. And I don't think anyone predicted what was going on. But speaking of predictions, I wanted to go back and share with you what we all thought was going to happen. In the year 2000, we predicted, I think it was a little bit earlier than the year 2000 actually, we predicted we were all going to live on the moon. And we were going to live in places like this, which is somewhat unusual. And I'm not necessarily sure why we wanted to do this, but of course that didn't come true. And the other prediction was that we were going to migrate to Mars. And I still don't fully understand this. But apparently NASA does have a 10-year plan to make it to Mars. I'm not sure what's wrong with Earth. Maybe they have a prediction that we are in the process of ruining it. So maybe we do need to digitally transform or physically transform and look after our own planet. Because I don't know about you, but I don't find Mars that attractive. The other prediction that has definitely not come true, which is a sad reality, is we're suffering from more stress than we ever have before. This is a pretty serious matter, actually. And in the past 10 years in the US, and this is pre-pandemic, the increase in mental health issues and stress-related work has just gone off the Richter scale. Here in Melbourne in Australia, even during the pandemic, the government is producing statistics on the number of increases in calls to helplines. And that's on the personal front, but also so much of this stress is work-related. And I think we were predicting that we were going to work less hours than ever before. But as technology embraced, we didn't get that time back. And all of us as technologists will understand this, that we're tinkering more than ever. We're having to fix things more than ever. Maybe we're inspired more than ever, but this may be the decade as a prediction that we will really embrace AI and automation and let the machines go to work to do the mundane tasks, so we can really focus on the things that make a big difference. And we can spend more time doing the things that we want to do, and we can relieve some of these stress-related symptoms. It's a topic that's I'm really passionate about, and think it's very important for us as humans to embrace, particularly this year. And I often say to everyone, and it wouldn't be, I can't see you in this audience from reInvent, but I can picture you all. I can picture you all sitting there. Some people are nodding, some people are checking their phones. And at this point, no matter who was in the room, I think as technologists, we'd all agree today more than ever, we have one of the hardest jobs in the world. We're having to embrace these new technologies. We're spinning up new cloud platforms. Competition is rife. You can get to market faster than ever. We're being asked to digitally transform. At the core of everything is software. Software is making the entire world work, whether we're banking, we're trading, we're teaching our kids. I wish the automation and AI would work a little bit better with my homeschooling with my children. But we're teaching our kids how to work, and we're having to remotely operate, which is challenging and socially very challenging. And so we already have one of the hardest jobs in the world, with so much pressure on us sitting at the core to make all of this software work, which is enabling this whole global economy to where we are today, which is just absolutely uncharted waters. Like, this was scenes that maybe one day, and hopefully fingers crossed, we come out with a vaccine fairly soon and the suffering stops. Because to see cities like New York, to see my hometown of Melbourne, to see, Tokyo, to see London, to see places, the cities, the buzz just shut down completely, is just something like out of one of those scary movies. And unfortunately, it's real. And for us then, as we sort of translate this, we are fully embracing the absurd, and we're having to do things remotely. Thankfully, we are in a position where we're able to do that with a lot of our technologies, but it's a lot of pressure on us as the technologists to be able to do it. And I found this particular one quite funny, because everyone's been talking about digital transformation, haven't we? We've been chatting away about digital transformation forever. But little did we know that it was going to come so soon. And we have stories from our own customers where they had plans where they were going to take 12 months to deploy agents to certain hosts in production, and they had to do it in 3 days. And you know what? They were able to do it because under pressure, humans can achieve remarkable things. And that's the thing that I think is so special, is that when we're put under that pressure, when the urgency is there, we're able to achieve with the right technology in place. So I find it kind of funny, but also it just means that digital transformation has accelerated faster than ever. And I couldn't help but think, what was it like working from home? I actually look back. I used to do these videos, and I look back, and I was so chirpy and happy at the start of lockdown. And of course, by the end of it, we're all feeling a little worse for wear with our kids, and the pressures of work that continues. And I don't know about everyone else in the audience, and hopefully you're nodding, or maybe if you're watching this and you're chatting, like, share some on the chat. But I'm working longer hours than I ever have. You don't go to work anymore. You go home, like your home is your work. You're spending more time working than you are sort of doing home things in your house. So it's a really different environment. And so that's where I think more than anything, we have to embrace AI and automation, which is a lot about what I'm talking about. So as I get to the point, Dave, talk a little bit about how AI and automation is going to help resolve some of these things. And as part of a recent survey that we did, we found that 89% of CIOs say that digital transformation has accelerated in the last 12 months. I don't know what the other 11% were thinking. I don't know what industry they're working in if they don't think that digital transformation didn't accelerate in the last 12 months. And this survey came out during COVID, so I'm not sure what the others were thinking. Maybe they fell asleep in the survey questions. But 800 CIOs, you can get that research from the Dynatrace website as well. And 58% say that it will get even faster. And again, I think they'd be naive to think that it's not going to get even faster again. So you have to embrace AI. You have to embrace the automation, because software, like I said before, software absolutely rules the world. And it's like a mission that we have at Dynatrace, where we believe the world needs software to work perfectly, because it doesn't matter whether you're boarding a plane, you're getting on a train, you're transferring $100 to your friend to pay for dinner, you're hopefully at some point getting away to an Airbnb, or we're doing our work. It simply has to work. It has to work every single time. Even for retailers, if it doesn't work, click, you'll move on and you'll buy from someone else. So it has to work, has to be efficient. But making it work is one of the hardest things in the world. We have such large cloud environments now with, in some cases, like thousands of hosts, hundreds of thousands of hosts, so many different integrations, so many different applications, so many operating systems. It's actually really tricky just to get visibility into all of the things that you're running, and being able to see what's going on is then the first step towards optimizing and continuous optimization to make it work. And that has become beyond human capability. And as part of what we do at Dynatrace, and I probably should have started with this a little bit at the start, because to help you understand what it is Dynatrace does, I'll do just the 30-second elevator pitch, which is Dynatrace provides that visibility into everything you're running in your cloud environment, all of your hosts, all of your applications, every user that's accessing these applications, and then helps you understand what's working, what's not working, and why is it not working. And it does it with an AI engine that's automatically baselining, and it's changing the way that we used to do monitoring. So in the past, in monitoring, you'd have all these different monitoring tools across networking, applications, services, processes, hosts, etc., users, and then you would basically correlate all the information, and we as humans would have to process what's going on. If there's a particular issue, where is that issue coming from, and how do I solve it? With an AI engine, which we built specifically for this purpose, instead it does that analysis all for you. And then it can serve you up with exactly what the precise root cause is, if there is an issue or a slowdown. But not only that, it provides you with insights into customer experience as well. And as we've had this AI engine now for 3 to 4 years, and we call it Davis, which does stand for something, but I like to think that Alois is one of our strategic VPs at Dynatrace. He's been around forever, and my name's Dave. I like to think it's a combination of Dave and Alois, but that's not actually true. It's called Davis. Anyway, it does stand for something very technical. But what that Davis AI is doing is it's analyzing millions of dependencies, and that was 4 years ago. And then a couple of years ago, it started analyzing trillions of dependencies. And every year at our Perform event, we used to say to everyone, Davis is now analyzing X number of dependencies. And I always do the calculation like basically an hour before we do our event, which is every January. And the last 2 years ago, the last time I went to do it, the number was too big. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, cajillion? Is cajillion a number? And is that per second? And so it's these environments now are to such extremes. This is impossible for humans to be able to determine anything that is going on in that environment. We literally need to rely on the AI to do it. And so I asked some of our customers, what's the largest environment per problem that they were able to detect? And they came up with this number. And I can get a little dyslexic when the numbers get this big, so I'm going to give it a go. I think it's 209,442,640,819,000. And I should have put a 1 or a 2 on it, but that's an actual number that one of our, it's actually a bank from South Africa. And for this particular problem that they had, it was able to analyze all of these dependencies. That's processes, microservices, host environments. It's like CPU metrics, network logs, transmissions, user IDs, user sessions, operating systems, like all of this stuff that could possibly go wrong, to give you what did go wrong and how you're going to fix it, which changes what you have to do as a developer or an operations team, because you're no longer now hunting for things. Instead, you're like, okay, we need to fix that, and now we can move on and continuously optimize, and it gives you confidence. So again, back to that stress that we were talking about before, and I'm going to come back to a couple of customer stories, but I'll keep moving on in the interest of time. Now, originally I did have, because we know how complex these environments are, and originally I had this really complex slide that just had logos everywhere, because we're using all of these testing tools for development. We got orchestration tools, and we have tools for monitoring, and we have tools for intelligence and analytics and cloud environments and observability and management and all these different tools. And the key now, I believe, is integrating them all to make sure that they all can work as an orchestra and can work in harmony, and standardizing across an environment so that we can, again, do less time monitoring and more time sort of doing the productive things. And the complexity is increasing. Again, these are some stats from CIO research. You can read them. They're relatively big numbers, 70% of CIOs or plus saying that they, a lot of manual effort to keep the lights on, and that they 63% say the complexity has surpassed human ability to manage. Now, I think anyone who, again, I don't know what the other 37% were thinking, because over 1 billion dependencies, I don't know how you're determining what's going on. So at this point, I wanted to take just a couple of minutes, actually, just to show you how simple it is to use a modern intelligent cloud observability platform like Dynatrace to show you specifically what's running and how simple it is for not just individual operations teams, but actually entire teams to manage their environments, so we can all go faster, because succeeding in the cloud is a team sport. So let's switch over to my little demo here. Note that I'm not in operations or development. I'm actually in marketing, but it's that simple to use. Like I think even my kids would do it. So I'm going to give you a really quick demo and show you how that works.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a really quick 2-minute demonstration of Dynatrace, which isn't easy, but I'm going to go as fast as I can in order to give you just a really quick overview so you know what I'm talking about. Dynatrace is providing visibility into your entire cloud environment across all your clouds, every application, all your hosts, all your services, your users' experiences. So here I can see all the applications I'm running, and importantly telling me any problems that are occurring. All these problems are now interconnected because we're viewing this across everything that is dependent on each other across all these host environments. So I can, once I deploy the Dynatrace, this is a custom view that anyone can build out of the box. Very easy to customize these for development teams, operations teams, digital business teams. You deploy the one agent very simply, automate that deployment. As soon as you've rolled that out to the host, Dynatrace goes to work. Because it's a single agent, you can mass deploy. We also have simple operators for things like OpenShift, Kubernetes, very simple to deploy into AWS as well, and we're available in the marketplace. Once you've deployed on that host, you immediately start to see our Smartscape, and it's starting to profile everything that you're running. In this case, we've got 193 hosts that are running. I can see all my processes, services, and applications. What is connected to what and how is basically how that works down to the data centers. And you can see as I click on any of these, I then see how our dependencies are all mapped out. With that, the AI is going to work, and because it's understanding context, it's able to provide a precise root cause of any performance issues that are occurring. So if I pull up one from here, this is a great ability for you then to eliminate war rooms because you're focusing on the actual precise root cause of issues that are occurring. I've picked up this particular instance here. 3 applications have been impacted. I can see that it was an easy travel service. This is a travel booking demo site that we use, and there was a web service that caused the failure. I know the precise root cause. I can go in, I can fix that particular service and stop it before it impacts any customers. So it's a fantastic use case there. And I can also, with integrations with things like ServiceNow and your development and orchestration tools, it means that you can understand exactly what happened and what led to that deployment, who you need to contact in order to fix it. I can drill into user experience. I can understand user sessions. I've just picked Monica here. Every click, every tap, every swipe. I'm going fast because I don't have a lot of time. I can even pull that session up and I can replay that session without any configuration. This is so simple. It's an amazing ability to see 4K like replay of a user session as it goes through, so you can understand exactly if there is an error, what was the error that occurred, or from a user experience side, how can you improve that user experience? Everything on top of this, as you're naturally seeing, everything from the log files that have been created through to the conversions, through to every customer experience can be configured, can be put into a dashboard, and our AI can go to work to tell you what to focus on. So my 2-minute demo, take one of the Dynatrace free trials, see for yourself, or join one of my weekly demos to see more details of how Dynatrace can work for you. Hope you found that useful.
Okay, so when most people think about an AI, a lot of us sort of freak out into 2 schools of thought. They go, oh my God, the AI is coming to steal my job. It's going to crush us as humans. And the other sort of school of thought are people that, well, there's probably 3 schools of thought. There's a second school of thought that go, how can I actually utilize this AI to better myself, to better my life, to better what it is that I do with work? And then the third school of thought is just like, AI, that's complete rubbish. That's not true. It's not happening. But I don't know about you guys, but we were debating the AIs, and I said, I'm totally cool with it. An AI I can't see. When I start seeing AIs that are like, watch it in Australia, in Victoria, they were talking about deploying these drones to check whether or not we were leaving our house after the curfew. That freaks me out when I have scenarios like that. But if I'm getting like a credit card processed or any of these things that can help improve my customer experience, so better my life rather than inhibit my life, I'm all for these AIs. And so it was actually really interesting that I see this, and this is not new, but people see it now as like assisted intelligence. And some people that really are fearful of it, I heard Daniel Burrus, who is a futurist, and he said, would you rather, and forgive me for using cancer as an example, and I don't joke about these things either, but I'm using this as a scenario, and this particular example was this person is suffering from cancer. Now, would you rather have an AI try and treat the cancer to determine where the issue is, and come up with the answer and potentially help you and treat you? Would you rather have no AI but have the world's best doctor, the world's best cancer surgeon to be able to do that? Or would you like to have the AI with the world's best surgeon? And I think most of us would say in that particular scenario, I'd always go for using the AI, but using that to assist the surgeon. And that's where I believe we're obviously heading, is an AI that isn't reckless and isn't off doing whatever it needs to do, but is actually helping us humans do what we need to do. And as part of our event in January, we were really fortunate to have Steve Wozniak present, and he was sharing with us just that machines basically are designed and always have been designed to better our lives. And originally when he was talking, he said they started Apple on the basis of creating gaming. And so they were starting that really he was part of a computer club, and really the output of where they got to is what he talked about now is about the AI coming and machines coming to assist our lives. And it's a really great session that we have with him. Unfortunately, you can't get it anymore, but I'm teasing you. You'll have to join one of our other events in the future. But I was thinking about that as I then relate to some existing customers. I just want to share a couple of examples of customers that are doing remarkable things during COVID, also pre-COVID, utilizing an AI and automation to improve what it is that they do. Now, Raccoon Shoes isn't the world's largest shoe brand, but it's a really fascinating story about how they were able to leverage the Dynatrace AI with a really small team to stop worrying about like the different types of alerts that are coming in and where their issues are occurring. And they had to transform really fast. They turned all of their shoe stores into fulfillment centers, and they shifted everything to online. And during their pandemic, they were able to see a 2 times conversion rate on what they had before. And I sort of said to some of the cynical people will go, yeah, but there's no other choice. But there is other choice. You could have gone and bought the shoes from someone else. And so I actually think it's a great story of a team that pivoted really fast and were able to do this over a period of a week, stand up a really powerful platform and utilize Dynatrace and the AI to keep fine-tuning in order to improve performance. Now, this next one is my favorite story. And it happens to include AWS as part of this story. So this is the part about it's better together. It's better to integrate the different technologies. And it's a key lesson here is how you're going to take the AI from something like Dynatrace, and you can take the machine learning capabilities from the cloud platforms within AWS to create really remarkable user experiences. And I used to talk all the time about AI that provides assistance, that improves our customer experience. And this is a great example. Now, Vitality is one of the leading insurance companies in the UK. And what I like most about this story is a couple of things. One is I'm addicted to fitness. So I love tracking my own fitness stats. And I often thought, why can't I get reward points for exercising? I get like my own kudos, and every now and then people will go on Strava and give me a like and a whatever, and I get my own satisfaction out of doing it. But what about the rewards for me being physically fit? Vitality recognized that people that are physically fit are potentially not claiming as much insurance benefits. So it's both beneficial to them as a company, but also to the consumer. And so they've sort of gamified it. And the way they did this through technology is you sync up your fitness watch when you do your workout, or your Apple Watch, or whatever that is. You sync it up to the Vitality app, you get reward points, and you can redeem those reward points for things like an Apple Watch, Amazon Prime discounts, and things like this. But we all know, and for anyone who has been doing syncing from like a Garmin watch to Strava, the API connection can sometimes be a little flaky, and that's essentially what they're doing. But they're doing this on a big scale. Now, the thing here is, this is their bread and butter. This is their core business. Their core go-to-market is exercise and get reward points for doing that. So it has to work, going back to what I said before about software needing to work perfectly. What they obviously found is that from a user experience as well, I've just gone for a run, I've just gone back, I've synced up to the Vitality app, and no, it doesn't work. You feel awful as a result. Come on. And so what they were able to do, utilizing Dynatrace, is they were able to pick up the user experience data, those sessions that failed. They then put them into a machine learning platform hosted on AWS using the AWS machine learning. And then they were able to do predictive analysis to figure out those sessions that had failures, and they could automatically reach out to give people the redeemed points, or they got the call center people, for those that are higher value customers, to call. So their inbound call centers became outbound call centers. The proactive customer service, I think in the past we talked about when a digital experience fails, something like 40% of people will go to social media to complain about that. They've completely eradicated any issues that occur as a result because they're proactively reaching out. Now, from a customer experience perspective, you go from like, oh man, to like, wow, this is so completely different. This is so cool that they recognize that I was working out and it failed. And so it's a really good example. On the personal side, on the business side, when I was talking to the chief digital officer at Vitality, they said for those user sessions that failed, they had a 65% reduction in customer lapse. So they were able to retain so many customers through complete automation, complete AI. And it means their team aren't having to worry about having to take inbound calls, customers that are angry about that experience, and it's just a great all-round experience and really successful. And you can pretty soon you'll be able to get that case study off the Dynatrace website as well and watch a little bit of the session of. Actually, you can get it if you go to the Dynatrace website and you go to go.dynatrace.com. You can hear the interview with David Priestley from Vitality. It's fantastic. The other one that I had at a recent event was State of Minnesota, and this one for me is a really personal one because it relates to COVID. And State of Minnesota just went from everyone can prepare for Cyber Monday. They know that the traffic is coming. No government department predicted what was going to happen in March. Their applications got absolutely slammed. Their host environments got slammed. They're not used to being able to spin up and scale really quickly. So even government departments now had to digitally transform. They had to do it really fast. And utilizing Dynatrace, State of Minnesota, and obviously, that other example, but State of Minnesota was able to scale up really quickly, but also understand where do they need to optimize their host environments, which applications can be fine-tuned, and how do they keep the systems running? Because for them, they are literally putting food on the table for people. They're people that are processing unemployment benefits so that they can get checks, so they can afford to feed their kids. It's a really powerful story, and it's one that really hits home because when we originally wrote the vision for the world needs software to work perfectly, this was the view that I was looking at to see from a human aspect the importance of applications to people's lives. It's a really powerful story. And I think as a key takeaway for a lot of you is, particularly as we've already gone through this change, we've already changed amazingly. Like you go back to January and February and go, are you a better person for what we've been through? And hopefully you are. I mean, I think sometimes you've got to, this is one of my favorite quotes from Peloton instructor Emma Lovewell, sometimes you just have to go through hard things to prove that you can. And embracing something like an AI and an automation, it's something that if you're not widespread and you're already doing it in your organization, you should tinker with it, particularly during this period of time where organizations are looking to transform, they're looking to get creative, they're looking to find better ways of working. So it really is up to you. This change is going to happen no matter what, and others are going to adopt the AI. If you don't adopt it, if you don't look for ways to improve yourself in your automation, others will do it for you. And actually another quote from a customer, Citrix, where one of their quotes in their IT team is, automate yourself out of your current job and into your next job, because it's going to make you more valuable. Don't fear that change. And that was the exact example also that I was fortunate enough to meet with Mark Randolph, who's the co-founder of Netflix. And you can actually still get this session, hopefully, on the go.dynatrace website. It's a really great story. But he talked about Netflix. It wasn't one idea it was one idea, but it was one idea that evolved. Originally, Netflix was a DVD distribution business. They couldn't even stand up their website. They didn't know that eventually they were going to become the big streaming service that they were. Maybe they did, but they needed to go through constant iteration, constant change. And they talk about the amount of iterations they do, the deployment changes they push. All of that has to work continually. And so you've got to get in a cultural change of constant iteration, constant change in order to improve the way that you work, because that constant testing, that speed to market is absolutely essential. And it's about having, from a Dynatrace perspective, it's about having confidence that when you're pushing these changes, or you're testing in pre-production before you go into production, or if you're in pre-production and it's a critical system, you have the confidence to know that it's working. And if it's not working, who's going to fix it and how are you going to fix it? So as I sort of wrap up this session, I wanted to obviously thank you all, but I wanted to really encourage you to really think about, as we've gone through this change already and more change coming, it's so critical for us to be thinking about less time troubleshooting and more time that we can spend using our grey matter. Like, how will we, as this AI and automation comes, and you think that changed in the last 10 years, where's it going in the next 10 years? The next 10 years for you, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? And I heard a great quote the other day, and it said, spend more time in a role or in a task doing something that makes you smile. It's very different to saying do something that makes you happy. Happy, you can't quite get your head around. Happy is sometimes having drinks in a pub, but can you picture yourself at the desk smiling? What are you doing that makes you smile? Spend more time doing that. Is it from an operations and a development perspective? Is it releasing great features that you can tell that the customers are adopting? And it makes you feel proud that you were able to contribute to that. Is it standing up new systems that helps you transform the organization, that helps you bring new products to market faster? And so very lastly, I wanted to share this personal story of the original customer of Dynatrace, Mark Kaplan, who said for him, it means spending more time having breakfast with his daughter, and he gets an extra hour per day, and it also means not having to wake up late at night. So it really is not about the strongest species that will survive. It's about those most responsive to change. So I encourage you to change. Take the Dynatrace free trial, give it a go, and if you already have it within your organization, look to adopt it. So thank you very much for your time, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I really hope to see you in person at AWS reInvent in 2021. See ya.